Hi, it's Monie, and welcome to Mind and Your Business. Hi, fam. Welcome to Mind and Your Business with Monie and Heidi today. Thanks for joining us. So we have we're going to call it like a quickie show. We have a quickie show because we're just doing like a kind of a little update on what's happening with me, my business, and all that. Well, we'll let Heidi drive this.
I thought we'd flip the mics and go ahead and interview you.
Okay.
So how old were you when you opened your gym? You've referred to that a couple times on the podcast. So explain that a little bit.
Okay. So the story of the gym. So this is actually really super pertinent to mindset because I think this set me up for needing to like get involved with that. So my background is actually in like city management and local government management. So I have like a master's in public administration and like was going down that route. I got involved with doing CrossFit and got roped into that cult. And I like managed a couple gyms. So I quit like my day job and started managing a couple of local CrossFit gyms in the Valley. Mm-hmm. And then I just had people like telling me, you should open your own gym, whatever, which is like the thing that always happens to me. So my husband and I started a gym in our garage in the first house that we bought together. So we got together, we bought our first house, and we started just having like, what was it called? I'm looking off camera at him. Mm-hmm. Mimosa Sundays. Mimosa Sundays was a weekly workout that we would host at our house in the morning. We would have a ton of mimosas. Obviously, there's always alcohol. There's food. Everyone
that goes
kind
with
of
CrossFit.
Yeah, it actually does. Yeah, it's actually a lot of alcoholics in CrossFit. So we would have all this food, and then people would come and work out, and they'd be from the neighborhood or whatever, or other gyms. They would come and stop by, and then it kind of grew from there. So it started being like it was on Sunday, then people would want to come on Monday, and the next thing you know, like people are at our house, like from 8 a.m. I feel like I'd look out in the garage, and there would be like somebody who had the garage code who opened the garage and started working out, and getting in trouble with the neighborhood. And then eventually we opened our own gym. It was called El Jefe CrossFit. And I don't know, I think I was 26, maybe 26. We opened it in December of 2014. So however old I was then, that's when I opened that.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we had like a little spot in North Glendale, and we moved locations 3 times because it grew so quickly. And it was probably one of the most transformational, not transformational. It was probably one of the most important things that could happen in my life. And also like something that I look back on with like almost trauma. Like it was like so like the way that it all went, it was so traumatic and of my own doing, it was something I felt like had to happen in order for me to grow.
Well, that was my question. I've heard you refer on your gym about people wanted something and you were changing classes and you were moving things to accommodate people. So if you were to do it all over again and you're the person that you are now, do you feel like the gym would be more successful because you would create that vision versus allowing them to create the vision?
Yeah, it was, yes, for sure. Right. Because I wasn't really owning it. Like the thing that I noticed that happened with the gym and me was it really brought out my desire to fit in. It really like tapped into an insecurity that I had that like, I never, like in high school, I was never like super popular. I never was like in my whole life, actually, I never really fit in. And when I created this place, I suddenly was like the one. And I never experienced, that was my husband throwing his phone. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now he's on camera, even though he didn't want to be. So I never really experienced that. So it really pushed on these feelings of like, oh, finally I belong somewhere. And what I noted, or what I was doing without realizing, was I was compromising myself in order to stay in good favor with whoever the fuck was in front of me, right? Like, and be successful and grow it bigger because everyone wants it bigger. And then this person wants a program like this. So, okay, we'll make that. We can do that. And just kind of like all of a sudden, this thing that was this really, honestly, really awesome and very pure creation that we had, it had just exploded into a mess and then like people like fracturing off into different areas. And then there's like gossip and drama and things that start to unfold. And my inability to navigate, first of all, recognize it or even navigate or like understand how to control that or even how to not contribute to it. All of that was like, it was like my first day. I'd never been in a system like that. I'd never been involved in that. So it was just like me, not at all like acting with any type of wisdom or elevation. Like, and that place just was fucked up. It just got so bad under my leadership. And it really caused me to have a lot of like I didn't start a real estate team forever because my first attempt at leading something was so fucked. And it was like the worst. And so I like avoided, like when I found real estate, it was like, okay, this is something I just do myself. I don't have to deal with any other people. I don't have to deal with personalities and drama and gossip. I'll just do my own thing. But yet the only way what I really needed to do was realize that like, no, you don't run away from the thing. You've got to try again, and do better. But it took me a few years like of recovering. And like, honestly, I feel like I have truly like PTSD from it. I had to like get myself to where I was even comfortable, like bringing people on a team and like calling myself a leader because I had failed so much, so like badly the first time that I never wanted to like try again for a while there.
I don't have very much regret in my life, but when I look back on times that I let somebody who was inexperienced get in my head about something I was experienced in, and I gave them that power, that is the regret that I have, is that I didn't have that self-confidence at that time to just politely tell them no or manipulate them to where it serves them best.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to summarize that.
I have regret too.
It just, when I look back on it now, it was just, I was so insecure about being the leader. I was so insecure about making any person mad. I was so insecure about not fitting in. And it all boils down to, I was so insecure. So because I was so insecure, I was just acting out like down these paths that are just so counter to like what I really knew, I think deep inside I should be doing, but I just could not stand the thought of being rejected by these people, which is so funny because it's like a lot of times like people view me as like, oh, you're so intimidating, you're so confident, you're so this. And it's like, I don't really think that, like I don't really feel extremely confident most of the time. I don't really feel like I'm intimidating at all. Like I want people to like me a lot. I hate letting people down. I'm very much a people pleaser. But in that gym environment, it was like all these people who at first are telling me how intimidated they were by me. They had no idea the power they had over me just by them like choosing to go to my gym. I took that as like, oh my God, you're trusting me. Like, this means so much to me that you would join my gym. I just got chills thinking about it. Like, it was so impactful. You chose me. Like, oh my God, thank you so much for the affirmation that I matter because you chose to join my gym. Like, I made it so like important and really in my like value, and it should never have been that way. So, I think if I did it now, it would be a totally different experience. And also I would never do it again. Like it just doesn't, it's just such a money pit. It's just so expensive to run one and just so much energy. And I don't have passion for fitness. That was another thing. I convinced myself I was so passionate about fitness. I'm really not. I like people. I like coaching people. That environment allowed me to coach people. That's what I like to do. Fitness or whatever it is kind of that's like the methodology or the delivery system, but that's not the thing. But so many people said, oh, you're so good at fitness. And I'm like, okay, I'm good at fitness. Like, I'm good. Like, yes, great. I'm going to fucking be fitness. Like I'm going to embody fitness, you know?
You and Jane Fonda, yeah.
Yeah. That's what they call me, a brown Jane Fonda. I get that all the time.
Oh my goodness. I have 100 questions on that, but we're going to move along. So,
Okay.
So then you became a realtor. So, I'm going to do a little backstory on that is that the average realtor does 3 transactions in a year. Now, of course, that's taking on all the part-time agents that have no intention of ever doing a deal, but still averages 3. And how many did you do in your first year?
I think it was around like 33 or 35 transactions in my first year.
Insane. Because even in the school, they tell you, don't expect to close a deal in your first 6 months. Yeah. I mean, which I think that's terrible.
I don't have that speed.
Yeah.
When I got that license, you know, I'm just so driven that, you know, they said that and was like, well, that's not fucking me. I mean, of course I'm going to do it. I didn't think I was going to do it to that level. I don't even know. I didn't have context to know of how many I'd done. It was a lot, to be honest, because I wasn't around other realtors to know. But yeah, the same way I did the gym though. I mean, I opened that gym. I grew that gym to 400 people in like 2 years. It was insane. So it's that same energy of like, I gotta be the best is really what's imprinted on my real estate business to this day, which might not necessarily be the best thing. You know, like a lot of what I'm working on now personally with my mindset is like, you know, I don't have to do all of it in order to be valuable. You know, so like I've done 200 plus deals a year before. I didn't feel any better about myself, you know? So it's like even that part, that same energy of the 33 transactions is great, but it's kind of like, is that truly like what I want to be doing?
I feel like your mindset shifted from you doing the most you can be to getting the best experience for the clients. And I feel like that was pivotal in your business. That when that shift happened, then you really stopped tracking numbers at all. And you were just looking at happy clients.
I wish that was true.
It's true. I remember it. I was there.
I don't think it's true. I think there's some truth to it, but I think that for like, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like I should be honest. You know, as much as I don't track my numbers, I don't track my numbers because it gives me anxiety. So I don't track my numbers. But the fact that tracking my numbers gives me anxiety is a clue to a problem of how I think about the numbers, right? So it's like, it's important to me as my identity as a realtor to do a lot of deals. It's important to me. It's part of like what I've always done. And it's a lot of pressure. Like when you first start and you do so many and then everyone starts telling you, oh my fucking God, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't know it was a lot until someone told me. And then now you have the pressure to do more.
Right.
Because now if you don't do more, oh, you're slipping. See?
Or you're stagnant.
Yeah, that was a drop in the, you know, or that was a flash in the pan. Like she must not really, you know. So then it creates this like pressure internally. It's not like anyone's saying that to me, but that's what I think they're saying. So that's what I'm working on now is yeah, of course I want the client experience to be good. You can't grow a real estate business like mine if their experience isn't good. So that part is a given, but that being the primary driver really probably for a lot of the years I've done deals wasn't my primary driver. My primary driver was the same somewhat kind of sickness of the gym. It's the same driver that I had getting my master's degree, you know, and being a number like one of 6 in the country to ever get this fellowship to do that master's degree. It's that same thing. So it's part of why I wanted to do this podcast too, is like uncovering these things where it's like success, you are presenting as successful, but you don't feel successful, even though on all fronts you are successful. Everyone is, by all measures, no one's going to look at my real estate career and say it's not successful, but why don't I feel successful then? You know, and getting to that part is, I think, when you really become successful. So like I'm going to that personal development seminar in May, and I'm really excited because it helps to kind of uncover like the stories that you're telling yourself that are causing these results. And the results are good results in terms of I don't know I'm closing 8 this month myself, by myself. Great. But am I coming at that with the right spirit? That's really what I'm trying to get to now is like, I'm closing 8 the way I want to be closing, where I feel good about it, versus this, oh my God, if I don't close 8, I'm going to fucking just chomp down on a cyanide pill because it's done for me. Like, I don't want to have that vibe anymore. Like, it's just not healthy.
Really? So you started
You think I'm reading your body language, listening, and you're like, what do you think of it?
I just see you so differently. It's funny, I've watched you for years, and I just see you differently. Is that I feel that I believe that life's a journey and that you learn from every experience. So you went from the gym, which to me is extremely important, because we gave power to people. I've done it in my past. I gave power to people who weren't deserving. So they came and they're like, hey, I want this class. I want a Zumba class on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to stand on your head.
And then I'm over here learning Zumba
and you're
routines.
putting the money into it to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they come once and they don't come anymore.
Yeah.
Which is typical. And it's the same thing with a lot of realtors. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So once I learned to not care for it more than they do, not give it, to be a little bit more concise of where I put my energies, is that a lot of people are fly-by-nights, and I was helping them, and I shouldn't. I should support them if they're available, of course, but I shouldn't put my energy into it.
Yeah, that's like a wisdom that you have told me before, in a way. You've told me that before.
Hopefully better than how I just said it.
No, I hear you. It's an interesting thing to think about. Like, you have only so much energy to give, and you want to give that energy to things that are consistent with what you know to be right and true. And then there's going to be, or people that are like the real ones versus the flakes, or like you said, fly by night is such a great word. It's like, oh yeah, like I want this. And you're right. They would show up one time and then it would be like, oh yeah, I actually was transferring my job when I told you I wanted Zumba, so I can't go anymore, but good luck. Also, I need to cancel. You're like, fuck.
Right. And I actually feel I didn't do them a service, because I met them more than they were capable of doing.
Yeah.
And then now they feel guilty about it afterwards.
Sure.
So now we're hurt the relationship.
Yeah, now you both kind of resent each other or have some weirdness together.
Right. And
yes.
I had control over that from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what I felt. So, okay, so then you're at a real estate brokerage that's when I say low feed, that kind of means that you can kind of do whatever you want, and you're an independent contractor, which all realtors are independent contractors. But at these brokerages, there's really no big unity to it. So you were there for how many years?
I don't know. You would know. 2?
I think it's 2.
2, 3 years. I went to, didn't I go to Libertas for a minute? I went there for like 6 months to a year, and that was a mess. So then I went back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I went to 72 Sold, Hague Partner 72 Sold.
Right. And Hague Partner 72 Sold is a very specific program. There's no wavering from it, and it's very unified. So what did you learn in that experience?
I learned a lot in that experience. It's one of the best things that I ever did for my career. So what I liked about that was, one, the structure's crazy. And having the structure, when you go from like being a true independent contractor and a mindset, like I have very much of an independent type of mindset, but I also am a good student. And I also really love to learn. And in that background of like going to college, getting a master's degree, I can be in a structure and be successful. And that's very much what that was. It was like having a corporate job, right? Yep. So even as a realtor, you no longer really are your own thing. Now you are something else. You are representing them. So they want you to be within the structure, but the structure had a lot of validity to it, at least at the time when I started there. So, it was excellent training just around like, man, how to sell real estate. I mean, gosh, as realtors, and I've talked about it on this podcast before, you get a license and, you learn the code of ethics. And that's like really what NAR says is our value, is like, hey, we're not like, doing horrible, unethical things. So hire us. And that's really not your value. Your value is your ability to sell real estate. Can you sell real estate to your client's goal? Is like, literally, that's it. Right. So learning, the program, the 72 Sold program, was helpful because it helped me to place a structure around what I already knew. It's like I already knew through so much experience with so many transactions of what works and what doesn't. But having someone come and say, your instincts are right, so much so that I created a whole fucking process and structure around it. It was like, oh, this is great. And then what it did is it allows you to somewhat standardize your processes. And when you're able to standardize something, it's just like McDonald's, right? Like once they standardize the process, then you can scale. So that is what that opportunity was my ability to, because they took care of standardizing, I could focus on scaling. And by scaling, that means getting a team, right? So that was super important for my development in my business, was getting to that place. And being able to have, like, when you have leads coming in, you have enough leads to where you can attract people to your team because you have leads. Then, because there's a structure, you can really measure the person against the structure. Because it's like, now I have everybody's doing the same thing. This one's thriving. This one's not. I guess I need to fire the one that's not because they're just not fucking getting it. Or
identify what the problem is, which is what you do first.
I mean, get out. I don't have time for it. No, but that environment really, it was so fast paced. And so, I mean, because it was that kind of corporate vibe, you really, I mean, I love the concept of what you just said, but in real life, I mean, that place is so like the Gestapo. I mean, like, you got one insane client who's upset because of some insane thought. And now you're getting calls from the CEO about it because, God forbid, you have someone go online and say one negative word about your thing without everyone jumping on you. So it really did create, maybe unfortunately for better or for worse, I don't know, but a vibe where it was like, you really don't have room here for error. You have to be able to understand how to do this, and you need to be able to execute well pretty quickly. And so with the team, it really turned into like, hey man, I like you, but like, you're just kind of slow with this. And I can't have you out here causing me to get calls or causing me to get threatened to get shut off, because you're, not understanding how to price or how to communicate or how to whatever. So it was good for that. And when it became not good for me was when I felt myself really wanting to be accepted there. Like, I wanted to be, it re-triggered that thing of like, I want them to view me as valuable. I want them to like me. I want them to take my suggestion. I want the CEO to call on me in the Zoom meeting. Like, it kind of started to cause those feelings. But because I'd been through that before, it caused me to have awareness to say, hey, you're starting to fucking trip out because you're starting to believe what that guy wants you to believe, which is they want you to believe that without them, you can't be successful, which is not true. But that was a subliminal message being shared was, hey, but without us, so that's why we're on you guys, because if you don't follow our shit, we're going to shut you off. And if we shut you off, you're pretty much going to have to file bankruptcy tomorrow because you definitely can't make it without us. So with all of that happening as the messaging, and then I felt like my body and my mind responding to it as, that's true, be afraid, be sure you're accepted, be sure you're always in line. Then it started to be like, okay, I can't be here anymore because it's going to cause me to regress away from who I truly am trying to grow myself to be versus moving forward and creating beyond. I mean, they have McDonald's. They created McDonald's. I don't want to fucking own a McDonald's franchise. I want to have a steakhouse. I want to have something more elevated. But if you let people or whatever messages get into your mind, it's like a poison. It causes you to start to believe, oh no, this is good enough. I can just be a cog in this big, one of the wheels in this big machine. And I'm okay with that. And I just wasn't.
That's a very important point because it doesn't have to necessarily be that specific area. There are a lot of people who feel stuck in life, stuck in their job, stuck in a relationship.
Correct.
And you have to identify if you're not thriving and you're not healthy, you move out. even where you go, the next place is a mistake. It's okay. It's part of your journey of where you're going.
Correct. You know what doesn't work for you. If you know wherever you're at right now doesn't work for you, you're obligated to change it. Even if you're not sure what does work, you already know what doesn't. So you have to go and seek other things and be willing to experiment and to
you're
just
worth it.
Of course, you're worth it. And you only get to live once. So you might as well like try to make this be as in line with what your like spirit, what your heart and what your mind really are telling you in those like quiet moments of like, hey man, I just feel off. I do feel stuck. Like we talked to Wendy last week, you know, that I feel stuck. Something's not right. That's exactly what happened to me was I started to feel this general anxiety of like, I'm stuck here and I'm at their fucking mercy. Like if I don't, they can take my livelihood away from me. Meanwhile, before I was here, I was selling almost 100 homes a year myself. So why am I letting these people have power over me? And why do they treat me like I'm not a person who can sell almost 100 homes a year by myself? You know, so it was just kind of that happened and it was like, all right, I got to go.
I agree, but I get frustrated with myself that I give somebody else that power over me. That's what really makes me mad is that I'm in a situation and then I should have gotten out much earlier is that I gave people my power and I have to take responsibility for that action. So you are a top producing realtor, not just here in the Phoenix metropolitan area, not just Arizona, but nationally. So
in the world, don't leave in the universe.
At least in the United States. So you could go anywhere you wanted to go, or you could open up your own brokerage. Why did you choose the Jason Mitchell Group?
This is the question that I get asked every single week by somebody who's really mad that I didn't go to EXP or Real. Chill out, you guys. It's going to be okay. On my gut.
Oh, I love that.
I went on my gut. So my husband is my best friend. He's off camera. He has a really good instinct about me. And so I tend to listen to him, even if it takes me a while to admit that I'm listening to him.
And let's never give him credit for it.
No. And we never want him to know that. So I've been on one, Jason and I share a nanny. So we have a connection. We have my nanny, Melly, and her daughter, Melina. Melly watches my kids. Melina watches Jason's daughter. And so that was kind of interesting to me because it was just kind of like, oh, okay. And we have a bunch of mutual friends. And then I've done deals with people in his company. And like, they always just seem so rosy. You know, like it was just like, they're happy and they're posting stuff. And these people seem rich as fuck too, man. Like I'm watching, I'm like, dang, man. That's another Range Rover for her. You know, you just kind of pay attention to how people seem like they're doing. So you just kind of start putting two and two together or whatever. And so my husband, I was expressing to him, well, he was expressing to me how much I needed to leave 72 Sold like 2 years ago. And he was pissed about it. And I was like, well, where am I going to go? You know, we're having a heated conversation. And he brings up Jason Mitchell Group. And I thought, that's kind of weird because was on my radar too. And it was kind of out of nowhere. So I, on a whim, texted Jason's wife and just asked to meet him. And he did. And we talked one time. I went to his office, talked one time. And he said a bunch of stuff about the numbers and the this and the that. And I was just sitting there like, yeah, this is probably where I'm going to go. I didn't really absorb much of what he was really saying. But the thing that stood out to me was that he was very entrepreneurial, which is important to me. And I know a lot of I think all probably, you know, people who lead big companies are entrepreneurial, but there was a vibe in him that felt like he was building this based on, like he was building it in real time. So it was happening. It wasn't happened already. That's important to me. I don't like to go into established systems. I like to go into something that's being built because I like to feel like I'm contributing to it being built. That's important for me. And the other thing was that he was really respectful of who I was. It was like he didn't seem aware of like, you know, my stats or whatever, but he seemed to, and talking to me and my answers to him, I could see that he was realizing, oh, she does this. And I'm pretty sure he probably didn't know my stats until like maybe the next time that we met, because it seemed like he had more kind of intel on my business or whatever.
Which is a testament to him.
Yes.
Of treating everybody.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Exactly right. It was like, I was kind of went in there almost like a blind date type of thing, you know, hey, I'm whatever, I'm just interested. And the other thing was that, you know, he just really offers a lot for not a lot of money. I mean, it was just so cheap. I was just like, what? Like, are you serious? Like for me to run my team was incredibly inexpensive. I think, you know, something like I was going to right off the bat save like, how much was it? Like $250,000. I mean, it was this amazing amount of money just because I was no longer getting charged for stuff.
Just changing brokerages.
So just changing brokerages alone, you know, so it was like, okay, he's really not asking for much because what he's building is not based on the transactions. What he's building is based on beyond that.
It's the whole transaction.
It's the whole, and it's, he's building relationships. He has a business to business model. So he has relationships with a number of different companies that all need great realtors to execute and close. Right. So what he's done is he's created partnerships, real partnerships with, you know, I feel like 50 plus, I don't even know, like a lot of different companies that need top companies, and they need realtors to sell, list homes, to help people buy homes, whatever. So he's just become like, hey, anytime you need one of these, you're going to send them our way. So I think that he has his revenue coming in from so many different directions, as opposed to, you know, so many places that like fee you to death. You know, the splits are crazy on the transaction alone because that's all they got. Like if they don't have that, then they don't have nothing. So it just felt like overall from interacting with him, I loved that I walked through, you know, the offices and everybody is like, nobody is like on the verge of tears. Well, nobody's like,
they're all professional. They're working. They're focused.
Working. Yep. When Jason walks by, they don't like cower, you know, like and they talk to him like a human being. Like it just felt like, okay, this guy is a real person. He's in creation mode. I am so attracted to creation mode. Like I love that shit. I love when someone is like, okay, we're building it. We're going to try it, but it's consistent with the vision. It's not, oh, we're creating to this because today is Tuesday, so we're going to just blow up the whole model and start again. Here, make all new folders. We need all new stuff by tomorrow. Be on the team call so that you can learn a whole new strategy. If you don't know it, we're going to call you and we're going to test and quiz your people if they don't know it. So everyone better be on the call. Like, come on. It's like, hey, we're going to create based on our goals. And then we're going to change it if it doesn't work. And we're not going to be insane about it. It's just cool.
So you were with a brokerage that provided you with great leads because they have a great brand out there. They have a good relationship with the consumer. So comparing quarter one of 2023 to quarter one of 2024, which should be less because the market's down. It's a little bit slower than it was Q1 of 23. Are your numbers reflective of the market? Are your numbers down?
Yeah, I'm up across the board.
Okay. That's interesting.
So volume, units, and take home is all up. And I think it's not a little up. I think it's a lot up.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot up. So so coming from where I came from, leads were good. I wouldn't say that the leads were good, but the client was a pain in the ass, like just super difficult client because the expectation that they're coming into even becoming a lead is based on wild shit said on a commercial, right? So because they're coming with that expectation, now you as the agent are almost at a disadvantage. You know, so that can be troubling, hard to convert, whatever.
Especially for weaker agents.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yep.
For the everyday agent who's not like used to.
Not even weaker, just right.
Yeah, just like, hey, I'm used to working with my friends and family. Now I got this person and they're like, how come my house isn't sold? It's been 9 days, you know? So you delete that and now you're just dealing with a person who's like, yes, I would like to buy or sell a home. I'd like to buy or sell a home and I'm getting incentivized to work with you through this whatever company the lead came through. So they're going to want to work with you because they're getting incentivized to work with you. So now you can set your own expectations. You can create your own strategy around them based on just a person-to-person conversation with them to say like, hey, okay, great. You want to do X, Y, Z? In my opinion, here's how you're going to do it. Here's why you want to do it this way. Let's get started. So it's just a different vibe. So in my experience, even though I tend to not work leads from company leads, I wanted to just so that I could feel how my agents would experience. It's like responsive, straightforward. I think I've gotten 5 leads in the last month, and I've converted 3.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an insanely high conversion.
That's much better than getting 30 leads and converting 3.
Oh yeah. Right. It's a game changer because now your time. So what my team is experiencing now is, they actually have time to build their own SOI business, which is so important to me because I know the power of a great SOI business. But if you are bogged down with so many leads and just trying to convert them, you don't really have time, or you do have time, but it requires so much more discipline to make time to be on top of your repeat and referral business.
Or have the energy for it.
And now, but meanwhile, they get paid so much less on company leads. Anywhere you're going to go, you're going to get paid less on company leads. You want to have your repeat and referral business be your bread and butter. That's what I teach my team. So it's important. Like, you don't want, like, I tell them, do 2 deals a month of your own, right? That's going to make you a great living. Do 2, maybe 1 of a company deal. Just that's your Hawaii vacation money. Live like that, So now what they're able to do is, like, I'm noticing in the past 2 months, agents who never had SOI business all of a sudden are like, oh my God, I'm taking one of my people out. Oh my God, I just got a listing for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, yes, it's working. Cause now you have time to focus on something other than like, I got to hurry up and follow up. I don't want to get a complaint. Oh, this person's spinning out again. Like, all that it seems to be a much, it just seems to be way more in control at this point.
I love that. So it's more in control and more profitable.
Yes.
Yes, I love that.
Me too.
Thanks for spending so much time with me. And I know that Honey and Bear's school pictures came out. How much money did you spend on school pictures?
How much were the school photos?
Over 300.
Yowzers.
God, yeah. Yeah, so it was the first time that they got...
Over 300 was the answer.
Over $300. I wanted to keep it off camera. Yeah, it was their... Well, I said the digital prints, though. You printed. Yeah, it was their first time getting school pictures. And so it was just awesome. Like, and it was cool because the lady did joint pictures with them. Like when I was growing up, it was like you had your, and then my sister had her pictures, and now like we got some of them combined. So they came out.
Our bangs were all straight pictures.
Yes. Yeah. We tried.
Yeah.
It was picture day.
So fun. All right. Well, I love you.
Love you too. Thanks for the great conversation. Thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn about Jason Mitchell Group, JMG, we have national opportunities. So these companies that we're partnered with are national companies. They exist in every state. And really the challenge is like, we have to have agents to turn on a state, right? So if this sounds interesting to you, you want to learn more, you can be on my team, kind of. Like, I will coach and train and kind of help guide you. So if that's something that's interesting to you, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. Thanks.
And that's at Monie at moniewilder.com.
Oh, yeah. I have an email, Monie@moniewilder.com. Bye. Thanks.